All right, let's bring in Jonathan Macri from Knicks Film School. Jonathan, more than 24 hours since the Knicks became world champions. When you woke up Sunday morning, did you have to pinch yourself and ask yourself if that was a dream?
Well, yes and no, only because I actually didn't go to sleep until Sunday afternoon. But yes, that's what happens when you're doing post games after these things. People just want to celebrate, and I don't blame them. I have had to pinch myself a few times. I'll be honest with you, Nikki, it still hasn't fully set in for me yet that the New York Knicks are the world champions of basketball. Even as I say the words, it does not feel real. This is something that I think was such a long time coming. Obviously, this has been a magical playoff run, but for as amazing as the accomplishment was as it was happening, these dominant wins, I think there was a little bit of doubt in every Knicks fan's mind that they would actually be able to scale the mountaintop, get to the top. And now that they're here, it's quite a view, and I don't think many of us know what to do with ourselves.
So you said it doesn't feel real. There was a little bit of that doubt, but obviously it came true. They win the championship. When you look back on this incredible postseason run for the Knicks, can you put into words how special all of that really was?
It's really hard because I think the natural inclination is to look for other comps, you know, whether it's in NBA history or New York sports history. And the only one that I could go to is when the Rangers ended their own championship drought in 1994. That one had been over a half a century in the making, just like this. And I think if I was to try to put this into words, it would be something about how people have wanted this for so long and wanted it so much. I know I've heard from so many fans over the last 24 hours who feel like a weight has been lifted off their shoulders. People who thought, hey, I might never get to see a Knicks championship in my lifetime. So the fact that now all of those people, myself included, can kind of peel that monkey off their back and just be able to watch this team that we all love with a little bit more ease and, a little bit more, carefree nature moving forward. It's just, it's a really special thing to be able to say, and it'll be a really special experience this summer to continue to celebrate it.
Yeah, a whole lot of emotions in New York happening after that win. I saw grown men fully crying, sobbing, so excited that the Knicks finally get their championship. You've been watching this team your entire life. What was it about this group that was different that finally was able to break through?
2 words, Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. We've seen, the likes of Steph Curry and Nikola Jokic, before them, you want to go to like a Dirk Nowitzki or even a Tim Duncan, guys that go to one franchise at the start of their career, and their franchise is smart enough to never let them go. And they usually lead to championships. They lead to a culture. They lead to just an all-encompassing effect on the organization as a whole. That is what Jalen Brunson has meant to the New York Knicks. And the fact that the Dallas Mavericks had him and kind of willingly let him go and allowed him to come here to New York and change this entire organization top to bottom, both on the court and off the court. We could sit here and talk about Leon Rose and Mike Brown and all the other players on the roster. They all matter, and they should all be taking victory laps today, but none of them are going to be able to have the impact without Jalen Brunson leading the way. So if you're asking me what's different about this team, why were they able to do it where so many other ones have failed, that's my answer.
Can't wait for the Jalen Brunson trophy or statue to one day go up outside of MSG. The city loves that guy with all their heart. But Jonathan, what a run. Thank you so much for joining us here on Honda Sports Night.
We absolutely dominated for most of the series. JJ, first it was Kenny Atkinson with the analytics. Now this from Wemby. Even after they've hoisted the Larry O'Brien trophy, why do opponents have such a hard time accepting that they both lost to this Knicks team?
Eamon, it's super lame. That's what it boils down to. I thought Wemby was incredibly dirty throughout the series. I think that was well documented if you watch these 5 games. And I'm going to spit some facts here, Wemby. Despite the fact that you had a lead 70% of the series, hey, guess what? Here's the dirty little secret. It's over in 5 games. So I don't care if you led for 70% of the series. You stunk up the joint in game 2, air ball, Then, by the way, you threw the ball away with a chance to go and win the game. You made a mistake. Game 4, you go and miss free throws. Game 5, you fall apart down the stretch. So, Wemby, you're an outstanding talent. You're going to be back in the NBA Finals, but go enjoy the chess in Gramercy Park. I'll see you there. I'll beat your butt, and you can go and make
Who's
more
letting you
excuses.
into Gramercy
Listen,
Park?
they call me Bobby Fischer, baby, because my
come
chess
on.
game is top
You
notch.
gotta
That's
be
my
kidding
wife.
me.
Wemby, bring it on. You got me on the basketball court. Bring it on. You can make all the excuses you want.
Okay, bring them in for the parade Thursday. We'll set that up in Gramercy Park. They can play chess.
No, I want to go to the parade. Forget about that.
I'm having fun with you. Look, I think polish is obviously lacking for Wemby, for a young Spurs team, and that was part of it from their standpoint. Look, you can dominate as much of the game as you want. What's the thing we say about the NBA a lot? Hey, turn it on in the fourth quarter. That's where the game is decided, and that's what the Knicks did. And that starts with Jalen Brunson, the rest of his Villanova guys. I know Josh Hart talked about it after the win last night, giving credit to Coach Jay Wright at Villanova, helping them be cut from a different cloth, because the poise and the ability to rise to the moments and not get overwhelmed, keep your composure, that was what was on display, not just in this series against the Spurs, but at other instances during this playoff run. The Knicks were just more prepared, grizzled veteran team, able to rise to those big moments, whereas the opponents, not so much.
You know, before this series, everyone said he is the face of the NBA. He is now the villain of the NBA because he's a dirty player and the refs have no way how to officiate him. That's the bottom line. How they didn't call that flagrant when he stepped out on Brunson,
terrible.
I have no idea. But it's going to be interesting to see how they officiate him the rest of his career and what his image is after this finals.
Yeah.
JJ, CeeLo, thanks for joining us here on Honda Sports Night.